Hello, beautiful people. Welcome, welcome. So I wanted to come in here really briefly to share with you guys how to raise your vibration during these times, really during any time. What I'm going to share with you right now has sprung from this realization that there are two types of people in the world right now. I'm noticing that a lot of people in our community are flourishing. In the Diamond Dojo, there are a lot of people who have been wanting to do things like make videos or start businesses or new creative endeavors or deepening on their spiritual path, who have been postponing, and suddenly during quarantine, they just are launching, they've launched their YouTube channels. They're doing all kinds of courageous and beautiful things that they've been wanting to do forever. And then there's this second type of person who is really crumbling in the face of fear, of no energy, of overwhelm, of exhaustion. And of course, some of us are vacillating between those two places. I wanted to make the video, this video, for those of you who either want to raise your vibration, your frequency, feel your absolute best right now, no matter what. And especially for those of you who may be vacillating or just not feeling so good right now. There are 6 swaps that I want to focus on today, which is really trading out certain things for better things. That at least one of these, if one of these is going on for you, I want you to track and notice how it changes your life, all right? The first one I want to start with, and let me know who is here live, I would love to know. But the first thing that is probably the biggest one is to stop watching the news. Stop watching the news. So I know there are a lot of people right now interested in conspiracy theory, or they're just plugging into the news and kind of going crazy with all of this information. First, I want to say that all of the news stations are basically owned by 6 corporations, and those corporations filter what we get on the news to really induce a high state of fear so that we stay in this perpetual place of panic, which makes us very easy to control, so to speak, or really follow the rules. I don't want to get too much into that, but really it's something, Marie Forleo was just talking about this, something called negativity bias. Our brains will focus or latch onto the negative. It's just what our brains are wired to do. So we will, if we watch the news, we're being fed all of this negativity, and the brain is going to latch on to that information, and it's going to literally obsess about it and deplete all of our energy. Our frequency goes down flat, vibration lowers, and then obviously immunity goes down, overwhelm goes up, life becomes a mess. I cannot emphasize enough, and this includes reading articles about conspiracy theory, and I know many of you may be into that, but really obsessing about any information that is uncertain. It's great to be informed for a small bit of the day, but many people are really obsessing about it. But when we obsess about any kind of information, it's really pulling us out of the moment, and it's pulling us out of our ability to be the good news, instead of watching the news, absorbing all this information, which really feeds the mind with more content to freak out, obsess, and overthink about. We become the good news by coming into the present moment and really taking great care of ourselves, but also doing something lovely for somebody, being kind, being the good news. There's so much good news happening today, by the way. Good. I love hearing that you do not watch the news. I never do in my life anyway, but especially in quarantine. If you're watching the news and you've been feeling drained, as an experiment, just give it a shot and try unplugging from the news completely for 5 days and notice what happens to your energy. The second swap is to stop fighting the change and start being the change. Stop fighting the change and start being the change. So a lot of people are really upset, obviously, because losing jobs and all kinds of changes that are happening. I don't know about you, but when I look back on my life and things that were taken from me, or changes that I didn't create, or they just sort of happened, or the changes I created, they always lead to greater possibilities, to amazing things if we have the right perspective. And that's what I mean by start being the change. So being the change means, what do you want to see? Obviously, there are things we can't control. People are losing jobs. And in some ways, like our business is flourishing right now. Our enrollment is up because a lot of people are looking to get online as coaches, things like that. So by the way, anyone who's telling you that you can't flourish right now, that's just not true. If you know how to pivot and you know how to get online or simply shift things, you can flourish during these times, because especially if you're watching this channel, you likely have a lot of good in your heart and a lot of desire to make a meaningful difference in our world. And you can absolutely be the change and make a difference in our world in some way. But the changes that we're seeing, instead of fighting them, resistance literally makes it bigger. Like what we resist persists, right? So I would ask myself, since I can't control a lot of what's happening right now, what can I control? I can control my frequency. I can control my vibration. I can control the way I look at life right now. I can control what I do, what I be, who I am. So start being the change means, what are the thoughts that you're having that are taking you down? What are the ways that you're being? What is your attitude? I had to check myself the other day and go, V, that is not the best attitude. Like, really to catch that negativity, the trance of negativity that's rampant in our society, that wants to seep in. And we all get to be adamant about being the change, meaning noticing the trance of negativity, the negative attitude, the downer like mentality, and actually become the uplifter by raising our own frequencies. And we'll talk about how in a moment, and starting to shine out in the world, being the change by having a positive attitude, being grateful, looking at how things can work in your favor right now. The third swap to raising your vibration at this time, and really anytime, is to stop consuming and start creating. So stop consuming, start creating. We've been asking our community, what are the gifts you've been getting from this quarantine? People are creating all kinds of things that have been on the back burner, like writing books, making videos, starting planting their gardens, doing really beautiful things. They're in the act of creativity rather than consumption. This is a great rule to live by in general. Start your day creating rather than consuming, checking your phone, getting from outside. It will really impact your mind and likely lower your vibration if you're consuming first. I would say create first and then consume what you need to consume, meaning check your emails, post on social media. But I would really limit a lot of the consumption and focus more on creating. A lot of people, by the way, who I've noticed with clients and things, who are overeating or over-consuming in any form, there's really a deep down desire to create something beautiful, but there's fear there to be visible or to create something. And I love it, Leon. That is a great way to be the change, to climb a hiking trail. So a great thing to think about is, Leon, I totally forgot what I was going to say. To start creating. A lot of people are doing these things like writing their books and doing things they've been wanting to do for so long. And that is coming out of quarantine. So what is one way you can swap the consumption for something you've really been wanting to create lately? What is that thing? And can you start your mornings, literally schedule it each morning and start your day creating versus consuming? All right, the fourth swap is to stop worrying and start breathing and meditating. Now, I know it's easier said than done when you are being faced with some major challenges. I'm not making light of the situation. I know that some of us are facing a lot. I know someone right now who's in the role of laying a lot of people off in a certain company. And it's exhausting and sad for her to have to do. And there's a lot of people in certain roles and positions right now that are very difficult. I'm not trying to make light of it, but worrying is praying for what you don't want. Worrying is literally asking over and over again for what you don't want. It's replaying a scene in your mind again and again and again, which is really praying for what you don't want. But what you can replace that mechanism with is use your mind to do something beneficial. Instead of using your mind to worry, ask your mind to focus on breath, inhale, exhale, meditation. You can also use a mantra or something of that nature, which is super, super powerful. The fifth swap to raise your frequency and your vibration is to stop fearing the future and start investing in your future. We are seeing this so much right now in our community. A lot of people, including ourselves, meaning Jason and myself, are investing in their futures right now. And I'm not just talking about financially. We did just make a big financial investment in something that is an investment for our future, for our business growth. A lot of people might be pulling back right now when it's really the time to plunge forward, have a very clear vision of what that long-term goal is for you and feed that, invest in that. But it doesn't just have to be financial. It can be, what are you creating right now? If you have a vision, if you have a dream, if you have a desire to be a speaker and an author, this is a great time to invest your time in writing your content, write your material, create your videos, create that program or that product that you want to create. This is the time you may not launch it right now, but you can be investing in the launch by creating it now. Or, we're having a lot of people, like I was saying, investing in our programs right now. We had several enrollments for our coach training program. People are waking up to this realization that, oh my God, this is a beautiful time to step in. We are seeing it in such amazing ways in our communities, in various fields, not just coaching. So what is that thing for you that you are here to create, that you really would love for your future? And instead of fearing the future, participate in the creation of your most ideal and magnificent future. And finally, the sixth swap is to stop beating yourself up and start loving yourself up. Stop beating yourself up and start loving yourself up. Let's take a deep breath as we close here. So take a deep, deep breath, and I want you to really think about this one. Stop beating yourself up. Start loving yourself up. So exhale it out. And as you're breathing here, what is a thought you've been having that's been really taking you down in some way? And I would just get honest, write it down. It might be a thought like, I've just been aimless. I haven't been doing enough. Like I have all this time, but I'm not using my time wisely. That's a form of beating yourself up. How can you go easier on yourself and start loving yourself up? For example, what is one thing that you've done today? Like Leone was saying, she went on a hike today. That's fantastic. She's focused on her frequency, on her health, on her well-being, on fresh air, on what she loves, right? So what is that one thing that you have created today that can shift your frequency from beating yourself up to loving yourself up? Or if you did nothing today and you rested all day, can that be a shift in perspective? And love yourself up by celebrating the fact that you're giving yourself permission to rest and nourish and recalibrate. The way that we see life at this time is literally going to determine so many things. And a lot of people are calling this time the Great Awakening. And I see this time as a great emergence. It's like this emergence of this full potential that's asking to rise in each one of us. And sometimes it takes a global emergency for us to emerge into our full potential. So I ask you, what is it for you? I love that you said you went to a park in nature. What is it for you what is emerging within you right now? What wants to be created within you? This channel is devoted to helping you lift your frequency and create live your spiritual purpose, create your spiritual business, and flourish in doing that. Learning to walk again, powerful, okay, healing. So I don't know if you mean literally, Paul, but that is such a beautiful and powerful metaphor of I think we're all learning to walk again on some level right now. How do we move into life at this time when everything's changed? And even if things go back to normalcy, we'll never be able to forget what this social distancing and quarantine was like. I literally have a whole list here when I asked my community, like, what has shifted for you during quarantine? What are the gifts? People were saying things like, doing what I want instead of feeling pressured to get a regular job, a lovely slowing down, how to go with the flow versus fighting what is happening, realizing how many things I do that are unnecessary. We're learning to walk again at a different pace, a pace that may be healthier. Certainly we're noticing our environment healing, shifting, really having some beautiful changes in the midst of all this. So as we enter this, as we emerge really, how do we choose to walk? How do we choose to live? How do we choose to lead? How do we choose to be the change? How do we choose to stop watching the news and be the good news? How do you choose to be the good news? Lost a leg in an accident. Okay, wow. Paul, thank you for sharing that. And I feel just the power of getting back up. Like, I really deeply want to thank you for sharing what you're sharing, because to me, you're an example of somebody who's choosing to get back up and walk and live and flourish regardless of what may be perceived as an obstacle. And one of my teachers would say, obstacles are not in the way, they are the way. If you haven't noticed, obstacles are just the path constantly. And they are the way, right? They're the way that the full potential gets to emerge from within us. So I'm so curious, Paul, and really for all of us, what is asking to emerge right now that couldn't have emerged without the challenge, without the obstruction or the obstacle or the tragedy or whatever it is that we have recently or are currently facing. So I just thank you all so much for choosing to prioritize your frequency, because your frequency matters, and for choosing to be an example of what's possible for others. Like another one of my teachers, he says, when we do something hard, when we face something really difficult and we face it in a way that most people aren't facing it, like Paul, like getting back up and choosing to walk again, we actually make it easier for other sentient beings. We become an example. Oof. So thank you all for being the example and for choosing to lead with love, to do your meaningful work, and to keep your frequency super strong. So let's take a deep, deep, deep breath in here, receiving something glorious, something good in every cell of your body. And exhaling out, letting anything that's been in the way of you feeling good dissolve into the light. And let's take 2 more breaths. One deep breath, taking the deepest breath that you've taken all day, receiving something good, and on the exhale, sweeping away, releasing anything that is ready to go, ready to be set free. And 1 more deep breath in. Inhale in, letting your heart, your mind, your body be filled with light. And as you exhale out, letting that light flood the world, letting peace flood the world, letting love touch those who may not have inspiration right now to raise their frequency or to be the good news, and just seeing your peace flood out as you're continuously allowing your own well-being to grow and shine and sustain itself, and shining as the light from here. Thank you guys for being on this journey with me. If you receive something or you're just choosing to keep your frequency strong, thank you, truly. If you are choosing to put your frequency first, give this video a thumbs up, this live stream, and I will see you guys in the next one. All of my love. Mwah.